Hey, welcome to Chopper's Charts. Still doing some studying on my back testing session that I have done. I have essentially got from 2022 to 2025, all of this, I'm calling it the weekly time frame. That's not the typical WTF you see. It stands for weekly time frame. But I went through and all my lines are my key levels are marked up in the weekly only, and I take my trade setup in the daily, and then I look for on the hourly for a trigger, and I manage on the hourly. And so I did from 2022, like I said, to 2025, all three of my instruments, MYM, MGC, and MBT. And I finished them. And when I do this right now, because I'm trying to just get the setup fine tuned, I do that with only one contract, and I set a 1 to 3. I've developed a 1 to 3 ratio that's been working really good for each individual instrument, and so that's where I stay. So my profits aren't going to look big, but they're things that it's a 1 to 3 ratio that I can hit more often, and I'm keeping to that because I know that I can in time increase that, have that same ratio, the same 1 to 3, that same pocket, and increase that by 10 times or 100 times. So when you're looking at the P&L, this could be 20,000. This could be 5,000. But my ultimate goal is to get it to be 100 times, which would be 10 contracts in the mini. So if you're looking at it that way, there's 20,000, 20,000, I'm sorry, 200,000, 200,000, 70,000, 190,000. So that's my ultimate goal. That's where I see myself getting to in time once I've gotten this little pocket perfected. But I've been doing some studying, and a trader in my Discord mentioned, shared a Lance B video, Lance Bernstein, and great video where he talked about, setting up a trade rating your trades. And so I've been wanting to go through these trades. If you follow me at all, I already do a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star rating, and then no star for trades that I don't think I should have taken. And I've been going through this, and I thought I have about 5 major parts of my trade, my strategies. There's 5 major components that I like to have all aligned. The problem is when you're trading, you sometimes you see 2 or 3 of those parts, maybe even 4 of them, but you don't see all of them. And so it's trying, I thought if I can create 5 questions based off of those parts that I'm looking at, then maybe I can come up with a good trade rating that would give me my 5-star, my 4-star, my 3-star. So I came up with this trade checklist. Number 1, is it with a trend? Now, when I'm looking at a trend, I'm looking at both the weekly and the daily. So, is it with a trend? 0 points if it is not. Like if it is opposite of the daily and the weekly, it's a 0. And this is the only one that has 4 points system so far. If it is with the weekly or daily only, it gets 1 point. So if there's a little conflict between the weekly and the daily, it gets 1 point. If it's in tune with the weekly and the daily, it gets 2 points. And the best one is if it is in tune with both the weekly and the daily, and we've got a little consolidation breakout, then it gets 3 points. That's like the primo. The next question was my reversal continuation. And I'm going to go through and kind of go through how I rate these here in a minute, or how I'm looking at them again. So I'm really big on reversal and continuation patterns, candles mostly, but some patterns that I have found I really, really like. And so I want to know, it's a 1 point if the reversal continuation pattern is not clear. It's 2 points if it's a good one, and 3 if it's a solid, like a really strong, clear pattern there. Then I look at my key levels. So my key levels, I got trend lines and I got support resistance levels. And the way I draw my support resistance is very similar to the trend lines. If you're familiar with Tori Trades and how she does her trend lines, I do those the same way. So I may be coming off of one pivot point, so I could have only one touch point and it's breaking. And sometimes I overlook that. So this is causing me to take a look at it. 1 point if it's a one touch. I will have to go, I would have to look back before I can take a trade off of such a line. I'd have to go left and see if that particular key level has been attacked in further left. A 2 touch point break or bounce, or a 3 touch point plus bounce or touch. So 3 points. Now I use moving averages. I use the 50 simple moving average and the 200 simple moving average on the daily. And so this is just a daily setup note. So if I'm going long, are my moving averages showing me short? There's a way they're positioned. If the 50 is below the 200, it's a short. So is it opposite? 2 points if yes, it's in right, and 3 points if it's actually being activated by the moving averages. So in other words, am I getting a cross at the 50? Am I getting a bounce off the 50 in the same direction? So that's kind of like a bonus. That's like the part of the A plus move. Volume. 1 point if it's below the average line. 2 points if it's at average. 3 points if it's above average. And so now I can go through and I can do all these points. If I have 13 to 15 points, 15 being the highest, it's a 5-star rated trade. In other words, if some people like to use A, it's an A trade. I could even go 15 is A plus, 14 is A, 13 is A minus if I wanted to. 9 to 12 is a 4-star trade. Again, 10 being the optimal high point, or 12 being the highest point of the 4-star. Anything below that would be a weaker 4-star trade. And then 3-star trade will be between 5 and 8. Anything below 5 doesn't work. If I look at this and I don't even have a reversal continuation, I can't do it. If I have 0 points on the trend, my best bet is to not do it. So these are things that are going to help me look at the details of my trade entry setup and determine if this is good before I even get in it. You can see here today, as I'm doing this, I got into a trade, an MBT trade, and I got into an MGC trade. My with trend was a 1. My reverse continuation pattern was a 3. My solid key level was a 3. My moving average was a 2. And the volume was a 2 for 11. So that was a 4-star trade. Now what I'm doing is I'm working on this so that I understand these. Then I'm going to go back, review my trade some more, and I'm going to say, okay, so my 3-star, my 4-star, my 5-star, this is what's happening. So now that I'm in the trade, I can make adjustments to my trade management based on the star rating, knowing it prior to getting into it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm working on that. And so I want to go through how I'm doing this just real quick. I currently have I've already gone through all my 5-star trades and all my 4-star trades. Now I'm going through my 3-star, and I'm going to go through the ones that I wouldn't give a rating in the beginning initially, because I want to just see how that works. So, but with the 3-star, if you look here, I got a nice little spreadsheet, kind of just going through it. A lot of my 5-star trades got demoted. A lot of my 3-stars, so I've already been doing 3-star trades for a while, going through them, and they're all getting upgraded, which is kind of funny. So I'm doing that. I'm going through. This is basically I'm putting down that MGC was a 3-star trade when I first started this. Then when I got done, I got a low 4, or a high 4. It made 217 on the trade. It did not hit my take profit. I do my trade rating, my total, and then I'm doing, this is what's helping me figure out how to manage it. So my 1 hour trigger, so I just look for a trigger in the 1 hour. I'm not looking for, it doesn't determine whether or not I take the trade. I'm just looking for a trigger point. So my trigger point was a pullback. Drawdown, this is drawdown from my entry line. So did it go back down below my entry line? And if it did, it did not, it went less than half, more than half, or full. And then I go back and I'm looking back in time, because I have to look back at where these trades were taken. And I'm looking that if I would have held this at break even, would it have hit my target? And so I'm looking at this, and I had no pullback, no drawdown. Yes, it would have hit my target had I left my stop at break even. Some of these, no, it wouldn't have, I couldn't hold it at break even, but I could hold it at half. So that at the halfway mark. So if I'm risking 200, I could have, after the trade took off the trend line or off my entry, I could have kept it, my stop at halfway point, and it would have hit me. It would have hit my target. Plain no means that no, well, obviously if it was a full pullback drawdown, it wouldn't, but no means it wouldn't go. It wouldn't have hit it no matter what. So now I'll take all this information. I made new tags that I'm tagging on this, and you'll see that in a second. And this is helping me take and determine how I'm going to trade manage now. How am I going to do that? So back here, let's go to MBT. So I have to have my charts up, and that's one part you're not going to be able to see. I don't have, I didn't set it up for that, so bear with me. We're going to look at MBT, and hang on, trying to get my screens right here. So I've got MBT. Oops. We have a 3-star rating currently. We have a minus 126 profit loss. Did not hit my target. And now we want to know with the trend. So I have screenshots of the weekly here. So the weekly was heading down, and the daily right here was heading down, but kind of started going up a little. It was more like consolidation. And so if I'm looking at my, oops, I got to remember to switch. So here, let me go back. So weekly trending down, got one little pull up. Daily is trending down with a little consolidation. Nothing fully telling me it's out. To me, it's got to break this 50. It's got to, break this past this last big move here before it's trending back up. So we did a short because there's my stop loss, there's my entry, there was my exit. So I can give that a 2 because I had both weekly and daily. I didn't have a breakout of a, so this is a perfect example. We're trending down, we have consolidation, and we break down. This consolidation breakout, as you can see, is usually a bigger move. Same with this little consolidation breakout. That's why that would be a number. That would be a 3 point. Oh gosh, I gotta remember to switch my screen. As I was saying, this was a consolidation breakout. That would have been 3 points. This is a consolidation breakout. This would have been 3 points. So trending down with a consolidation breakout, that makes it my trending a 3 point. So now I want to look at my reversal continuation. So I'm looking at this. We have a rejection off of the 50 moving average. So this is obviously a bounce play. And we came down, came back, retouched it, and started pulling down. This is a good confirmation. So that I am going to rate that as a 2. It's okay. Okay, I don't see that as a great. Now, if this candle kept coming down and it was off of this candle or this third candle, then that would have been a really good, because that is a really good reversal off of this 50. I like that. The problem thing I don't like is it went kind of sideways for a bit. That made it okay. I don't know if it's going to go or not. Solid key level. So I'm taking a bounce off this 50, and this 50 has been broken, been kind of hungered. It pushed off at once, came around, hit it again, pushed off. So that's essentially the second touch point on a 50. So solid key level, that would be a 2 for 2 touch points. Moving average. Here we have the moving average. We're bearish on the 50. I don't have the 200s not showing here right now, so I'm going to assume it's underneath. And we're bearish on the bearish side of the 50. So that would be, for the moving average, that would be a 2 points. And then lastly, volume. And if I'm looking at the volume, and for some reason I didn't have the average line, but I can tell you that's below average. So that'll be a 1. So my score for that was a 9. And a 9 says it's a 4-star. Four-star trade, which is a very weak 4-star trade. So we'll take that. I changed that to a 4. We're going to change this to a 4. Okay. And then I'm going to put that trade rating here, which I had a 9. Oh, so I've already trade rated this. Wonder where it was. In between. Oh, I see it. I see it on my spreadsheet. Here, let me share. I had just done it here. That's the difference right there. With trend, I had 1. I think maybe I was thinking that was more of an uptrend off of this bottom here. I think I'm going to keep that as a 2, though. I really do think so. So I don't need to worry about this one anymore. Okay, we're going to change this anyway. We're going to kill that. I'm going to make it a 9. I think it's a 9. And we already did, so I did, this is the 1 hour stop. So you can see here, here's the trade I did here. It was the last high was my entry. Let me pull this up. You can see what I got here. The last high, low for my 1 hour trigger. Drawdown was full, meaning came all the way to my stop, and a no. So if we come back here, this was my entry point right here. Boom. We tried to go. It just started climbing back. It climbed all the way back, hit my stop. This thing would have never have gone anywhere. When I looked it up on the other screen, it just continued going up. It did not come back. So it was a good thing I moved my stop to the halfway, just above halfway point, and took less of a loss than the 200. Let's go to another one. Okay, this one I haven't done yet, so let's look at this one. First, I want to open this. We took a stop loss, so we took a short. So we're going short. This is MGC. We're dropping hard on the weekly. We're dropping hard on the daily. We had a pullback, but we're still coming back. So we're still down. So that's going to be, we're going to rename this one MGC. It's supposed to be a 3. And we're at 163 for that one. No. And the first one is a 2. Okay, now we're looking at the reversal. And this was obviously a bounce play. This is a good rejection of the 50 and the trend line. So it's a good rejection, only I don't have a clear, like, I like to see a clear, good looking doji kind of like this or something with more wiki off of this point right here. So with that, let me do somewhere MGC. I need to look at an actual chart. This is Tuesday, October 22nd. I don't think that was right. This is more here. Okay, I see where it is. I know you can't see me right now. I just wanted to see if it would have continued falling to my entry. Okay, and it would have. It continued going down. So this trade hit my exit because I was trailing my exit, and it would have continued going down if it didn't hit me out right there. It would have continued down to my take profit. So this, I'm going to give this as for a reversal. I'm honestly, even though it's hitting my profit, I'm going to say it's an okay. We got one little doji wiki here. The reason I'm saying it's okay is because we got a trend line, and this is like 3 touch point trend line. We have 1, 2, good solid, possibly 3 on the 50 MA. So I'm going to say that reversal is okay. It's a 2. The next question is solid key level. Well, we already established that. We got a 3-point trend line and at least a 2-point moving average. So solid key level would be a 3 for a 3 touch point. We have moving average. This is just picture perfect. I mean, honestly, we had the death cross. We're traveling down with the 50. We're now in a full-on bearish mode here on the daily with the 50 below the 200. We've come up, couldn't break out of the 50, came back down, been rejecting it. We're coming up and we're getting rejected again. I mean, that is just like a absolute, and with a trend line. Honestly, that's an absolute great spot. I don't even know why I rated this as a three star when I did it. So this is what's helping. This is really good. So solid key level. What was I doing? Moving average. Moving average is a 3. A 3 being yes and active. So this is yes, I'm in a bearish move situation in my moving averages, and I even was activated. My trade was activated with the 50 moving average in a bearish sentiment. So let's go to volume. I entered here. Volume, so there's my average line, is below average. That gets a 1. So that gives me 11 points. 11 points is actually a good 4-star trade. And I had just looking at it, just glancing at it, I was thinking this was a 3. But that's a 4-star trade. So we're going to give that trade rating 11. Okay. And now we're going to come here, and I want to know what was my entry trigger for getting in. And I can see here, this should have been it. Right here. This consolidation right here, I should have had an entry right there. Let me see if I can pull up my little marker here. Yeah. This little consolidation level, I should have been entering right about here. That would have been the best entry point. But I didn't. I entered back here. And if I did enter there, I'd barely had any pullback at all. But I barely had any pullback here. So it wasn't, either way, was not bad. This is where I entered, and that's my drawdown. So I entered on this candle here. I entered right here. I got entered there. We got a little bit of drawback down, but not nearly halfway. Okay, so that's less than half. Oh gosh, I'm doing it again. Let me go through this again. So I was saying earlier, you guys are so patient in watching me. You know I don't practice and I don't edit. So this is where I should have been entering just below this point here, as I was saying. And it would have been some drawback to my entry point, but not so bad. This is where I entered here. I actually ended up entering right here on this little candle here. And then I still got a little bit of drawdown, but not nearly half. Half is roughly right about here. Maybe a little less than that. So it is less than half. So if I want to come here, and my drawdown was, or my entry trigger was a pullback, and my drawdown was less than half. Okay, so if we go back here, I hope you guys are able to follow me with all this confusion. So if we go back here, entered here, this is the drawdown. This is drawdown below my entry point. Less than half. I got in. We had a move down. We had a pullback. I got in off after the pullback. So that's where I figured that in. That was less than half, and then it never came back. It never came back. So after this point, once we've pulled away, this is what I'm looking for. A good pull away from the entry level. At that point, I want to set my stop loss, my exit, right here, break even. And I want to leave it. I don't want to touch it. Let this just go do its thing. What you can see here it consolidated for a while, but I looked back on the charts and this thing just kept dropping. It would have hit my TP. My current trade management, I did perfect. I went down to the last big pull. I got right above that right here. And then it got pulled up, grabbed me, and then would have just came right straight down to me. So now I'm knowing I hit break even. Okay, I'm done. Hold it. Let it be. If it pulls down and hits me at my entry point, so what? I am seeing over and over that this is going to happen less and less if it's the right trade. So I had yes hold to break even at target. So after that initial pull, I could do that. So now I go here and hold at break even. So I'm tracking those. So this will help me because TradeZella will track it better than I can. And then I had pullback. I entered off of after a pullback for my 1 hour trigger. The 1 hour trigger is more just kind of like I want to see if any of these particular triggers that I use hold any weight. I'm not sure they do because my setup isn't based off the 1 hour. My setup is based off of the daily. So I'm looking at the daily for the setup. The 1 hour is just the trigger. It's just a trigger point. It's giving me a solid point to enter. And because I do a lot of stop entries, it's nice to have a little solid point that I can set my stop entry, set my stop and my take profit as a trigger after it enters, and walk away. And then do my job, do whatever I got to do, and move on. So that's it. Sorry, it was very, very clumsy. I tried. It happens when I have to use two screens. I'm like back and forth, and I'm not checking that I switched. I apologize, but that's it. Yeah, enjoy. I hope you got something out of it. I mean, that's how I'm doing my trade rating, and I feel like it helps me check all my boxes with a level of certainty before I take a trade. So anyway, Choppers Charts, thanks for joining. Remember, this one trade will not make you wealthy, but in the right circumstance, it is one trade closer to wealthy trading. Take care.